Hello, everyone. Today I will speak with this guy. This guy is Marcello Bora. Hello, Marcello.
Hi, Evgeny. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Marcello is an expert area manager of Horus Network Group company. Horus is brand holder of General Fittings and Kariba, and today we will speak about last one, Kariba brand. And at the beginning of our meeting, I want to ask you make some presentation of Kariba company. Tell us about maybe some history, about where is production facilities located, about some export direction, and maybe some interesting things about Kariba company.
First of all, Evgeny, thank you very much for this possibility to talk about Kariba. Kariba is one of the first manufacturer of flashing tanks in Europe. We developed and we established our company in 1960. So it's part, as you said, of Horus Network, which is a network of company with the same philosophy. Inside this network, you have also General Fitting, which is quite well known in some market, but Kariba also, it's a very well-known brand in some market too. We are proud to say that 100% of our production is made in Italy. Our factory is based in the north of Italy, in Liguria, north of Italy, very well-known place for touristic places like, I don't know, Cinque Terre, Portofino. And we are exporting from there to many countries around the globe, more than 20 actually.
Okay. Do you have, do Kariba have only one factory or maybe?
Only one factory based in Liguria.
Okay. So after this presentation, tell us about Kariba range, maybe some products category and the main your product of Kariba brand.
Just to give you an idea, Evgeny, Kariba produced 10 million components per year using 1,000 tons of plastic material. The range is composed essentially by exposed flashing tanks, very famous in Italy, Greece, Middle East, and DIY chains in Europe, and in-wall tanks for floor standing WC as well as wall hang WC. In particular, recently we have been developing a lot our in-wall systems since we were already well known for the plastic exposed tanks that you see behind here on the wall. So we have been developing our in-wall flashing tanks in order to increase our penetration in the market, especially in new sectors or in new construction where the built-in tank is becoming really very popular.
Okay. I have checked your Kariba range before, and I detected two in-wall system. This is Smartica and Fix Practica. It's for the first point, it's maybe similar products, but it's different. Tell us about different of these two type of in-wall systems.
Both systems, Evgeny, have been studied to carry the wall hung toilet, but they have been studied for different applications. Smartica, it's a frame suitable for any kind of installations, such as inside in-wall, practically with bricks wall and cement, pre-wall installation, where you have a solid wall behind and the plasterboard or gypsum board in front, and also incomplete light walls. Fix Practica, it's another kind of frame which has been studied for installation inside solid walls, typical installation, for instance, in Italy and some European countries, but it can be installed also in pre-wall installation. Both are, of course, supplied with all connections you need for the installation of the WC. So including the outlet band, the connecting sleeves, the bolts to carry the WC. So to complete the installation, you need only to choose, the plates you want to put on the wall in order to complete the installation. Besides these two models, which are one of the most popular, of course, there are other frames or other specific models which can be suggested according to the different kind of installation and
Mm-hmm.
methods.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, thank you. And next, my question about your approach of saving water. As I see, your tanks has different literage, 9 liters, 6 liters, and 8. And as I know, now market moved to decrease of literage of tanks. What about your expectation and your maybe work in this direction in Kariba?
For sure, the market is going to 6 liter or even less flush for new installation, I mean, because for old installation of replacement, we need to keep 9 liter flushing tanks because people feel more comfortable with 9 liters since they have, I don't know, very old toilet and so on. But the market is going to 6 and 3 liter at least, and all our concealed tanks are dual flush 6 and 3 liters. We can even adjust the flush. We can settle the flush to a lower flushing volume, like 4 liters or 3.5.
Okay. Okay. And for maybe regular users of in-wall system, for example, Kariba in-wall system and the other of your competitors is basically the same. Yeah. And can you tell us about Kariba advantages? Why your clients need to choose Kariba?
The first and the main advantage I will tell you is the fact that our production is still 100% in Italy. So the complete tank as well as all components are manufactured in Italy in our Italian factory. And this is something that we believe important because nowadays you find in the market a lot of European brands, let's say, with components coming from Eastern Europe and so on. So this is the main point. Of course, in this sector, you cannot discover a new world. There are advantages, technical advantages that we believe important for Kariba, like the fact that our components inside the tank can be replaced very easily. They are simple components, but very easy to replace from the tank. This is for sure a good technical advantage. On the other hand, I tell you, we have also spare parts available for model which we used to develop and manufacture 60 years ago. So this is another advantage to have spare parts of product produced in the past. Of course, these components inside the tank, as I told you, are very simple, very easy to replace, but also has been developed during over 60 years old, 60 years experience directly in the market, talking with plumbers and installators.
Okay. What is this question about raw material? Where is buy plastic for example, for your tanks?
There are many places. Of course, we pay attention on the purchasing of the raw material because when you are talking about plastic, especially flushing tanks, the most important part is the raw material. Of course, there are various origins. I cannot tell you a specific area from where we buy, but anyhow, everything is controlled, checked from the beginning, so that we are sure about the quality of the material, and we keep the same standard for all our tanks, in-wall as well as exposed tanks.
Okay. As you told about quality, my next question about these important things. Quality is maybe the most important things for any products in plumbing sector, in the water storage and other. Or how you control quality in Kariba production site?
Well, let's say the quality is one of the most important points for all manufacturers nowadays, especially well-known brand like Kariba. We have a full control of the supply and production chain. The quality is certified by the major international institutes, and all our internal components are checked and before the installation inside the tank, and at the end of the production, we also test the flush of the tank, the fact that it's not leaking, etc. So this guarantees a perfect quality of the product. Of course, we have some complaints because during installation, anything could happen, especially problem related with the installation of the product because maybe not very good workers working on the place. So we have some, let's say, defected product, but the percentage is really nothing. It's 0.00012%. So nothing.
Probably zero. Yeah.
But anyhow, talking about the components, as I told you, sorry if I say again, but it's very important point. All our components are available as spare parts. And when we are talking about something which is built inside the wall, it's very important because sometimes you hear about, I don't know, strange brand, new brands coming to the market, and you can install maybe at a cheaper price, but at the end of the day, you cannot find spare parts. In our catalog, in our website, you see the spare parts of the model, as I told you, we used to manufacture 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, up to 60 years ago. This is, in my opinion, very important, especially for the end user.
Yeah, and it's important not only for a user and not important for your customer, because if you build a long-term relationship, you must to guarantee to your customer post-service for a long time. And available of spare parts, it's a good point.
Thanks.
Yeah, and next question. We talked about before about explosion tanks and frames, that the components it's located in wall, yes. But for example, flash plate is visible parts of your products. And my question about design. Kariba has a lot of design of flash plate, different colors, different shapes. My question about personally to you, what is your favorite flash plate from Kariba assortment?
Difficult to say, my friend, because there are so many different color and finishes and model that nowadays is really difficult to say. But nevertheless, I have my favorite one, which is something really new that I want to speak about later, because it's a new product that we are going to launch, and I believe aesthetically it's one of the best I have ever seen.
Okay. Other question about flash plate. How you design it, flash plate? Do you have some personal people in Kariba company who designed it, or some people outsource?
Now we are trying to outsource designers also to have a new design. So if you have your internal, let's say, designing office is always good, but at the end of the day, you are fixed to a certain point of view. So we believe better outsourcing and choose every time a different designer in order to develop something new.
Okay. And to closing this about flash plate, for me, maybe my favorite flash plate is with gold color. Is the best for me.
Okay, great.
Okay. So in the last question, maybe I want to ask about next novelties of Kariba. Do you have some plans of novelties in the nearest future?
Yes, of course, we are always developing something new in order to be updated, and we are launching now Emotica in our product range, which is not a simple electronic sensor activated tank. It's a new way to think about the flashing system. Emotica is practically an integrated home automation system with a dedicated app and a touchless flashing plate. This is something, when you're talking about electronic, it sounds very specific for public areas. In this case, no. It's something new, which could be, of course, suitable for public areas, public application, but also for elegant private application. That's why when you will see the photo on the video, you will realize that it is my favorite plate because of the specific design. It's a glass plate with black or white finish, where you can choose even the color of the light. So according to the design of your bathroom or your wishes or the color of your ties, okay, you can choose the color. This is something really very nice for the end user. Of course, he has a no-touch system, so you can activate the flash when you get close to the plate, or if you forget to flash, after a while, when you leave the WC, anyhow, it's flashing automatically. One of the great advantages of Emotica is also that, as I told you before, we have a dedicated app that you can upload on your cell phone, on your tablet, from where you can select the color of the light, for instance, but you can select other things like the flashing volume, which is very important, okay? Even from a remote, you can change the setting of the tank. And it could be very useful also when you have, I don't know, a house or an apartment that you don't use so often, like, I don't know, summer house, because you can plan with the app an automatic flash after a while in order to keep, to avoid the smell. Sometimes you have the smell when you go to the summer house because you left the summer, maybe the year before, the flash was not working. In this case, you can settle how often you want every day, up to from 0 up to 170 hours. You can plan a flash, which is very, very convenient, as I told you. You can adjust the flashing volume according to your needs without any problem. And from the app, you can get other information. You can get even a statistic to have information about the performance of your flashing tanks and the water consumption of the flashing tanks. Can you imagine when you install a product like this, I don't know, in a very big public area or in a hotel, the owner of the hotel can understand the consumption of the flashing tank of each room, or the overall consumption of his hotel. So, as I told you, it's a new way to think about the flash. Of course, we develop also a cheaper version for project business, but the main product we speak about is Emotica, this new, completely new system, not just an electronic sensor-activated tank.
Okay. What question about apps? Is it your own apps, Kariba apps, or
it's our own app suitable for iPhone, Samsung, so Android and iPhone application. Very useful. Okay, I was forgetting one very important point. You can even activate from the app the technical assistance. And of course, it's very important because whenever you want, because you have problem related with the flash of the tank, you can activate the assistance and we can suggest and support the end user in troubleshooting.
Yeah, it's very good to make post service for your customers. It's very good. And the last question about apps. As you know, in the market, for example, in the heating market, a lot of apps and programs of controls full house, full building about maybe lighting, heating, and others. Do you have plan to integrate your Kariba apps to maybe some great apps for controlling houses?
Of course, this is part of a project, can be integrated in the automation system of the apartment. It's a way to think about the future, or better, it's already the present in some cases, but the future will be like this. In the future, you have to control from your app, from your cell phone, what's going on in your house. So the project of Emotica is going towards this direction, to have the full control of what's going on. It could be even dangerous because, you know, I was thinking one day I was thinking with my colleague about this possibility to check the flash and how often the flash. It could be even dangerous because if you think you have a summer house, somebody is going there. I don't know, maybe your wife is going there to check, or with another man, it could be really a way to discover tricks.
Yes. So, okay, it's honestly, you visited my channel is second ones, and you are the best on the top as usually. I want to thank you for this visiting, for your presentation of Kariba brand, and I wish you good business and a very good future for you personally.
Thank you very much. I hope to be enough interesting for your visitors. I like your channel, so I hope to be able to attract the attention of your visitors, and I hope also to be a little bit funny.